0% financing, and we'll just add it to your bill. Start saving today. It only makes sense. The City of Dublin Natural Gas.
Had the time of my life. No, I never felt this way before. Yes, I swear it's a truth.
Welcome, everybody. We are here at the Carnegie Library, downtown Dublin, and what a big day it is. I have the mayor with us of the City of Dublin. Joe Kinard is retiring after 30 years as our city clerk. And first of all, Mayor, I know y'all are dear friends. Y'all worked together for many years, you as mayor for many years. Yeah. But one thing I want to talk about first is the distinguished awards year after year after year. You know, I hear cities that get them here and there and maybe once every 10 years or wherever, but Joe, now, he's the best of the best.
I tell you what, 30 years straight, every year, never missed a year, and that is just the comfort level that gives the council to know that everything's been taken care of like that. It's remarkable.
Yeah, and Joe, not only a dear friend of both of ours, a lot of it we can't talk about on television.
That's right.
Some of it we'll keep to ourselves, things we've seen and done through the years, but Joe's always fun to be around. He's a bundle of laughs. He can roll with the flow. He can take a joke. He can give a joke. But, you know, something ironic to me today, you and I are both on Facebook, and it was amazing for me to see today. Y'all had been Facebook friends today for 6 years.
8 years.
8 years, okay.
And that was just and I mean, we've been friends a lot longer.
Yeah, well, that's my whole point. Yeah.
But I guess Facebook just really got started.
That's right.
It hadn't been around. Just popped up today, and I thought, isn't that something? But Joe, you know, we've always given him the honor or the credit of being able to always position himself in the front of the line if there was food involved.
Amen, brother.
I mean, I don't care if it was a reception, a breakfast, a buffet, or going in line. He could get there. You'd look up and you'd call him and say, Joe, come over here. I need to talk to you about something. And he'd go, I can't come right now.
No, we got the buffet starting right here. But he is, and he's good at it.
Yeah.
I mean, he's really, really good at it. You say that as a joke, but I'm serious about it.
He can.
He's very, very good at getting in front of that line.
Oh, yeah.
And he does take the brunt of that joke a lot of times, but that is not a joke, folks, I'll assure you. He's very good at it, and we're going to be having fish tonight, and I can guarantee you he's going to be in the front of that line.
Oh, yeah.
But but for 8 years, but Facebook ain't been around as long as we've been around.
No. I've been between city council and mayor, I'm 18 and 6 is 24 years. Mm-hmm. And Joe, I always had a very comfortable feeling knowing that things were being done right on the financial end, because Joe had the city at heart. He is honest. He's just a really good guy, and we're gonna miss him a lot.
Yeah, and I know you say that as mayor, and you've been on city council, but on a personal level, you know, when you think of Joe, you're riding around the truck, around the city, checking on city business, and you think of the work that Joe has done. Tell me on a personal level how you feel.
Well, he just he was there to help us figure out how to do it. You know, you always got that council that sits on the side, and I'm not talking about city council, but I'm talking about that guy that sits there, and first thing he's gonna do is try to talk you out of it. Yeah. If it meant spending money.
Well, that's a good city clerk. Hey.
And then the second thing he's gonna do is, if he sees that your mind's made up and that's the way you're gonna go, he's gonna tell you the best way to structure it and the best way to do it. He's a great guy.
He is, and he'll figure it out. I was talking to the chief, fire chief, a while ago, and he said, James, sometimes we'll ask year after year after year after year for that project that we need, and then all of a sudden he figures out, hey, they really need that 103-foot ladder truck.
That's right.
That we did need, but you got to have the money for that.
That's right.
The money, and of course, y'all are stewards of the citizens' money.
That's right.
And Joe always took that serious, didn't he?
He took it very serious.
Yeah. So I know you have fond memories of him. He ain't going nowhere.
No, we'll get to see him.
And especially if me and you run into him at the Old Time Buffet, I promise you, he'll be first, and we'll be second or third or something like that. But he's always going to be first in line.
Amen, brother. We're going to miss it.
Now I have with me our fire chief, Chief Cutler. And Chief, you've worked with Joe for, I guess, your 18-year career with the city of Dublin. Of course, you've been fire chief the last 6 months. And we both know the fine job that Joe has done. And let's talk about him a little bit. Just I know you've worked this last budget with him.
Yes.
Tell me a little bit about Joe and what he means to you in the city.
Well, what Joe means to me in the city is financial stability. He's the go-to guy as far as finances. We basically give our wish list to the city manager, and Mr. Joe goes through it, and he's not afraid to tell us we need to wait on that. Mm-hmm. So he definitely keeps our financial situation in check. If you went to the last council meeting or read the paper, he's gotten a distinguished award over these last 30 years every year, from what I understand, of the excellence he's done in the financial department.
And that says a lot about not only Joe, but anybody that can do that over a 30-year period. Once in a while, you know, you hear about people getting these awards, you know, got it last year, or they got it 10 years ago, but you know, 30 years in a row, brother. Let me tell you.
That is awesome.
Yes.
It is amazing, and it's just a testament to the commitment that he has had to the city throughout this time.
Yeah, and Miss Ann's going to have a tall order to live up to, or anybody. She just happens to be the one to come into that job, and we're proud to have her. But it is a tall order right there. And, you know, you think back over your 18-year career and through the years with the fire department, you know, you've asked for things, whatever chief was in there, and you might have asked year after year after year after
That's
year.
right.
And finally get that big old truck that I'm so proud of every time I see it out working. And I see it in every parade. But
Yes,
that big ladder truck that reaches how high?
103 feet.
Wow. I mean, that's something to be proud of.
It
I mean,
is.
that's really something to be proud of, isn't it?
Yes, sir, it is. And he had to say no for a long time,
Yeah.
but we finally showed where it was definitely needed, and it's been an asset to us. But the timing had to be right.
That's
and
right.
when the time was right, he helped us with that.
That's right. And that's what a good city clerk does. You know, you work together and you show the need, as the fire department did, or the police department, or wherever you're in charge of the fire department. But I know, and I wanted to sit down and make you a part of this show today, because I know Joe Kinard means a lot to you, don't he, brother?
Yes, sir, he does. We hate to see him leave, and like you said, it's a tall order to fill the spot that he has been in. And somebody told Miss Ann at the last department head meeting, you've got some big shoes to fill. But I'm sure she's going to do a good job for us.
I have with me now former city manager George Roussel. And George, I know you have so many fond memories of Joe Kinard through the years.
Oh, absolutely. We worked together for a long time, probably 27 years. Mm-hmm. And we had a lot of fun together. We had a lot of trials and tribulations, mm-hmm. But we always got the job done, stayed together, stayed friends. Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's tough running a city, and those of you watching us right now, the city clerk, city manager, city attorney, people like that, you have to work close together. And those projects that you need sometime, you may need them, but you know, sometimes you have to wait a little while before you can work those things in. And I know Joe was, I won't call him a tightwad. I'm a tightwad probably, but he was a good steward of the city's money, the taxpayers' money, a very frugal person. And I know at times, that's where you get that from. At times, things were tough. But you had to work through it, didn't you?
That's exactly right. And what you're saying about Joe is right. During the budget process, it was the city clerk's responsibility to estimate revenues, okay? And he always estimated conservatively, mm-hmm. And so we always stayed within our budget, and that's why the city's in such good financial shape today.
And that says a lot about not only that, but the economic growth. you can't grow and you can't have industry coming in like we do without being that type of city, can you, George?
You can't be broke. Nobody wants to come.
Yeah, why? You want to go broke city, do you?
That's right.
You can't pull it out like that. But I know you. We started out saying I know you're going to have fond memories of Joe, and he did during those tough times. He made tough decisions.
Sure.
He worked with different city councils, different mayors. Different city managers. You're right. Different city managers over a 30-year period. And Phil and I, some people think we were cutting up. Now, we're dead serious about this, but people think we joke about this. But nobody can get ahead of Joe in the line when it comes time to eat.
In a food line?
Yes.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Now, I'm not joking, brother.
That's not a joke.
Yeah.
That's the truth.
We dead serious, aren't we, brother?
But he's a good man.
He is,
He's
brother.
a good man, and he'll be missed by the citizens of Dublin because he did the job.
We called Integrity Hospice in to help with my mother.
They took care of her like she was their family.
They provided everything we needed. They brought in the hospital bed.
If she needed labs, they could draw the labs. Whereas before, it was a day off work for me.
They brought in the bedside commode. They brought in the shower chair.
It was an answer to my prayers because I had the support that I needed.
It's a very difficult process for the family, but our job at Integrity is to make things much easier.
I recommend Integrity Hospice very highly.
Now I have our current city manager. We were just talking to George Roussel, your predecessor, and of course it's Joe Kinard. He's been with us 30 years, Lance, and you worked with him in different positions: city attorney, city manager, friend, in so many ways. And you know, we always, when we're around City Hall, we cut the fool with Joe, and he loves to cut the fool.
Yeah, he does.
But what a great city clerk.
Oh, yeah, he's been fantastic. That's one thing with Joe there. You didn't have to worry about the money. You know, he had it straight, had it fixed up. So that's what we're looking forward to with the new clerk. But you can't replace Joe.
No,
just his personality and all. He's one of a kind, that's for sure.
That's a tall order replacing anybody like Joe.
Right.
There are other people out there, but there's only one Joe, I'll have to say that.
Yeah.
But don't it make you feel good as a city manager to know that you've got someone being a steward over not only the city's money, it's the taxpayers' money, and you've got to be a good steward over that money.
That's right, absolutely. And you want somebody like Joe that's cheap.
Yeah.
Doesn't
true,
like to
though.
spend
No,
money
that's true.
and keeps it, you know, yeah. Absolutely. Makes you toe the line and not waste any. So
Share, I know you know, we're on family television here, but I know you got a few, one story or so you could share with us about Joe.
it's hard to think of just one, and that we can do on television. But he's just a good friend. He's been a great guy. He's always, you know, when something's going on, go down, sit down, get some of his wisdom. Been at the city, was at, you know, had a lot of financial experience before the city of Dublin. So he just really has helped me so much, and I've learned so much from him. So I'm really gonna miss him. I'm glad I know I can pick up the phone and still call him.
Absolutely. And to win these awards every year, Lance, that says a lot about an individual to get these distinguished financial awards year after year after year for 30 years, basically.
Oh, absolutely.
You just don't hear that much.
No, he does it right. He does it right day in and day out.
Yep.
And that's it's like any professional, and I'd use this example a lot, but it's like watching a skater, and it looks easy. And Joe makes it look easy, but then you try to get out on the ice and you find out it's you can't even stand up.
Yeah.
So, and Joe's one of those people that really makes it look easy.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, now I'm talking with Randy Jackson. Randy, I've just been going through, running the gamut here. So many people that are friends with Joe Kinard, and not only as a city clerk, but I've not mentioned this to anybody else, but the Keep Dublin Orange Beautiful. He's been a part of that project for many, many years, and so many committees. Not only has he served the city of Dublin, but Joe Kinard loves his community.
Oh, he does. I've been here about 21 years now, and one of the first people I met, and he and I had an immediate bond. We're both from Macon, grew up in the same time frame, and both eat New Way hot dogs.
Oh,
In
boy.
fact, that's what Diane and I got him some gift certificates for New Way hot dogs to celebrate, because he'll walk a mile for a hot dog. But you know, of late, when the ambassadors at the chamber started back up, he's been on there, and of course he's just a joy there. He's so funny. I mean, he doesn't mean to be sometimes, but he's funny. But I've heard over the years too his great contribution to the physical quality of the city. I mean, really, he's led where he's got awards and been noted by folks outside of our county for what he's done and his financial prowess, and we appreciate that.
Oh, yeah, and we're known statewide for our financial well-being, and that creates jobs. You know, I talk about economic development. A city in good financial shape is where people want to go build their factory.
Oh, definitely.
And look at the growth we've had.
Oh, definitely, and he's been a part of that, no doubt about it. And a critical part, like you said, if there's some scary things going on, people are not going to come, but it's been physically strong and proud of that. So.
Yeah, and I serve as an ambassador with Joe with the Chamber of Commerce. Don't sit next to him if you're an ambassador or a future ambassador, because he will steal a chicken wing off your plate. I can tell you that. You know, that's a true story there. But we have kidded as we went through the guests is you can't beat Joe to the front of any line at the buffet or anything. So, and we're not just kidding him. I keep saying this over and over how serious we are. And anybody that knows Joe knows that once we begin to eat and everybody says we're about to eat, and you say, hey, Joe, come here, let me ask you something. You ain't asking him nothing.
He ain't coming.
No, he ain't coming. He's going to get in the line. But what a joy it is to serve with Joe in all those capacities. And I didn't really know the New Way days, but I love a New Way hot dog, too.
That's right.
They're hard to beat.
I asked him today, I talked to the corporate headquarters today, and I said, when are you coming here? Joe will run the thing for you. So we'll see what happens.
I'm with Jay Studstill with Georgia Power, and we're continuing our conversation here at the Carnegie Library about Joe Kinard. He's retiring after 30 years with the city of Dublin. And Jay, I know you've known Joe for many years, and I know you know what he means to this community.
Yes, I do. Joe was the individual that whenever I had questions with the city, I would go to him and I would ask him about things. He seemed to just know everything. The city is going to really miss Joe. Joe also was really community-minded. Whenever I would go to a business after hours or I would go to some special event in the community, Joe was always there. And it was so much, he was so easy to talk to. Sometimes we don't always or make it easy for somebody else to talk with you. But Joe had that ability, and we definitely going to miss him.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall order, and we wish Miss Ann the best, no doubt. To carry on that tradition, and you won't replace Joe. None of us could replace Joe, but he's a lot of fun to be around too, isn't he?
No doubt about it. Like I said, I work with Georgia Power, as you said, and I tell you, over the years, there's just been so many issues, questions about customer service or whatever it may be, but Joe would always come to me and ask me questions, and then we'd always just get a dialogue going, and he was just a good fellow to be around. And I'm sure he's going to be around in retirement. We'll enjoy him then, too.
Yeah, absolutely. And Phil made the comment, Mayor Best made the comment a while ago that he's glad he can still pick up the phone. Lance said the same thing, pick up the phone and call him, because he knows so many things that Miss Ann's going to need to know from him.
Yeah.
And he deserves retirement, no doubt. Him and his wife spend some time together, and retire while you can still enjoy it. So many people work till the very, very end there.
That's right.
Which, if that's your choice, that's your choice. But I know we both hope Joe has a great retirement.
I do, and I tell you, I'll quickly say this. One of the gifts that Joe has got is that people just really like him.
Amen.
And it's a kind of a rare trait with some folks, but he gravitates to people, and we're definitely going to miss him, and I just wish him the best.
Yeah, I'm in City Hall a lot. The city and I work on a lot of projects together, and he's always picked on me. He said, James, are you on the payroll or what's going on down here? I said, Joe, I just clocked in. I said, now, I'm on the payroll, so you just take care of my time card over there. But he'd always pick on me because there's always some project going on with the city. And in a city like Dublin, there's so many things going on that a lot of you realize once we get it here on TV, and then there's some things that are going on that they tell me, hey, James, don't say this, don't talk about this, and they've learned through the years that, you know, all you got to do is tell me one time, you know, don't talk about it, and because that's for the benefit of our community. And Joe, not only being frugal, he has really helped the economic development of this community.
Oh, no doubt about that. Obviously, from the company that I work with, we work with people that are looking to move here to maintain industry or businesses. And Joe is always part of the team that helps determine if this is the right industry for our area. And that's, you know, sometimes that's hard when you're trying to make the decisions. Some industries don't fit our community as well as others. And Joe was part of that circle, if you will, to help us make those hard decisions sometimes. But as a friend, as a person to work with from another utility, if you will, he was the best.
I have with me our Tiffany Stanley, our assistant city manager, and I've had former city managers. I have the assistant city manager here, amongst other people. But you work with Joe. You've been with the city 21 years, so you've been around and worked with Joe in many areas. First of all, tell me about your relationship with him.
Okay, well, Joe actually hired me 21 years ago as
I know you like him then.
That's right, as a summer intern in the tax department, and then I guess he liked my work and he hired me on full time 6 months later. So I became a customer service clerk, and I worked in his department for about 7 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So.
Joe has been so important to this community, and I want to say this over and over, but we wish Miss Ann the best, and she's going to do a great job. But it's a tall order to come in and step into someone been in a job 30 years, whether it's me or you or,
That's right.
or the next person.
Yeah.
But Joe has been such a frugal city clerk, and he's been such a valuable member to the city of Dublin. And I know in your capacity now, you're going to miss him being able to go in there and ask him questions. And I know you got his cell number, so you'll still call him probably. But I know you're going to miss that part of it, aren't you?
Yeah, we will. I mean, just the knowledge that, you know, he's possessed this past 30 years, we're losing all of that knowledge. Right. And of course, you know, change is always hard, so we're going to have to adapt to the new city clerk finance director, because she may not do things the way Joe did.
That's right.
Joe, he was a sport, you know. You know, he'll always make you laugh. That's right. For sure. But yeah, he knew his numbers. He kept the city in great financial, you know, standards. So we were very blessed to have him.
And everybody does it different.
Yeah.
You know, you can't expect everybody to do it the same way, and there'll be some things different. But you're very involved in the community, and that's one thing about Joe.
Yeah.
Everything you're at, if I'm at a morning coffee break or something with downtown development or St. Patrick's Committee, Keep Dublin Orange Beautiful, this club, that club, he's always involved.
Yeah, Joe
in the community.
Always there. Yeah, when I was preparing his PowerPoint presentation for, you know, his reception, and as I, you know, was going through the pictures, I had a few that I'd already taken throughout the years, but I Googled his name and looked back. I sent Malia an email and said, you got any pictures of Joe and the ambassadors? So yeah, I got pictures from, you know, when he's with the ambassadors, with at the chamber events, business after hours. He loved business after hours.
Oh yeah.
He's
Anywhere there's food.
Yeah, he's the one who got me going to the business after hours. So. But yeah, he was really, you know, involved in our community. Yeah, and we hope he continues to be involved.
And we want him to. And you know, and our Tiffany and I both would like to encourage you, no matter who's watching. There's something, our Tiffany, that you can do in this community. It don't take. Like being chairman of the St. Patrick's Committee, you don't have to do that and take all those hours, which you've been. But you can work an hour over at the Lighthouse, at the Alzheimer's house, or you can help at the library some, or there's somewhere that you can help out. And every job is just as important as other.
That's true. And, you know, if you got any questions as to how you can get involved in the community, you can always give me a call at City Hall. I will definitely keep you abreast of volunteer opportunities. We have several committees that the city appoints members to. So, you know, anyone wants to get involved in our community, I can definitely steer you in the right direction.
Okay. How do you turn that down now? You call our Tiffany, Dublin City Hall. It's real easy.
That's right.
They know who she is when you call. That's right.
I'm Dale Nifong, your State Farm agent on Hillcrest. We're celebrating 14 years of service to the Dublin, Lawrence County communities. Please call us, text us, or even email us to find out what makes us different and how we can help you. We're located on Hillcrest between Dublin High School and Kroger.
I have with me a former city council, Miss Julia Driggers, and you have known Mr. Joe for many, many years.
Many years. It's been about 26, 28 years.
Wow, almost the 30 years
of his tenure. That's right, because I came on council in 1990, and Joe was the clerk then, and he has done a marvelous job for the city of Dublin. I remember that our city, during Joe's tenure, did not have to worry about being delinquent about anything or going into the bottom, you know, where you don't have any money and all that. Joe always looked out for us and made sure that we had the money needed to do whatever it was that we wanted to do to improve the city of Dublin. Joe has been a very good clerk for the city of Dublin.
And we know how important that is. We read in the paper, hear on the news, cities everywhere across the country that go into reserve or don't even have a reserve.
Don't even have one.
But you know Joe has been a good steward of
the city's money.
When I say the city's money, I always stress the taxpayers' money.
Exactly.
And that's important.
And that's important. And he's made sure that we've been open and above board with the monies and everything. So I know when you get a certain age and you reach a certain year that it's time for you to retire, you know, and go to the house and let someone else come into the spot. And Joe did what he needed to do to improve the city of Dublin financially.
That's right. And we're still upset with you because you retired. We were hanging around City Hall the other day talking about something, and your name come up, and everybody in the group was still upset with you. I'm gonna have to tell you on television because you retired, because you still do. I'm not gonna take away from that, but when you're passionate about something, whether it's the city, this community, and you still are, or I know you're passionate about your church.
I am.
You're going to give it everything you got.
Everything I've got, and my word is my bond.
Amen.
Whatever I say that I'm going to do, I make sure I do that. And when I got the call that Joe was having a reception today, I said, okay, I'll be there. And so here I am. Now, if I tell you I'm not coming, I'm not coming.
That's right.
Okay.
But you said you were coming.
I said I was coming.
And here
so
I am
I'm
tying you up. And one thing about you, you served all those years on council, but you crossed all racial lines. When we'd have trouble with one community or another, you always seemed to be the one in the room with the calm voice and come up with a solution, because that is so important that all of us work together.
And I thank you for that. I appreciate you saying that. But my thing is, it's not about me. Take me out of the way. It's about the city and everybody that's in the city. And that's how I feel about it. And I still feel about it. So I do whatever I can, and whenever I'm called on, I try to serve in that capacity. And talking about that, I know we are here to talk about Joe, but my church, First African Baptist Church, is having their 150th celebration, October the 22nd. At the 10:45 service, we're going to have what's called Fill the Pew. So we're trying to get as many folk as we can to attend that service, and we'd love for TV 35 to come.
And I appreciate that invitation, because we want to fill the pew, and I'm going to tell you, you just made me think of the mayor of Midway, Georgia, that came a few years ago and spoke at the MLK breakfast. I know you remember her.
I remember that.
And something she said that I have repeated. I've had to repeat 100 times in different groups, but she really impressed me in things she said. One thing she said was how growing up, when she was growing up, when I was growing up, you were growing up, you better get there early because you wasn't going to get somewhere to sit.
Exactly
It's
right.
not like that now. And
No,
she
it's
said
not.
that in that speech that morning, you know, and I was thinking behind the camera, I said, you know, I don't care white church, black church, Latino church, whatever it is.
Doesn't
The
matter.
church pews are not full, and that's what's wrong with our country now.
Exactly right. But we're hoping on this particular Sunday, October the 22nd, we're inviting everyone who wants to come and fill the pew on that Sunday.
Well, I'm glad we took this opportunity to bring that because that is great for our community. That's something we want to be a part of.
Thank you.
Ending on Joe, give me one, when y'all first met, just give me one story or
Joe,
one recollection.
Whenever you have anything on the table, a reception, a dinner, a breakfast, a lunch, whatever it is, it does not matter. And Joe is invited or not invited. Joe's coming because you got food on the table and he loves to eat. Now, that's the one thing that I remember about Joe. Whenever we went to the meetings in Savannah or Atlanta or whatever, one thing Joe was going to do when they have those receptions with the food all laid out, he's going there first.
That's right.
And then going where
That's
he
been the
needs to go.
common denominator today, as you can imagine.
Is that right?
As I've talked to people. That's been the common denominator. Not only that, he was first in line.
He was first in line. You got it.
I have with me now our city attorney, Josh Powell. And Josh, I'm at City Hall a lot. One thing Joe always aggravates me about is, am I on the payroll or whatever? And I always clock in when I come just to make sure I'm on the clock and I get my check on time. But Joe would catch that. That's how frugal he is with the taxpayers' money.
He is very tight.
You wouldn't slide it by him, would you?
You would think it was his money.
Yeah.
And you would think it was his money.
Yeah. How have you enjoyed working with Joe through the years?
Joe has just been, I've just started, of course, about a year and a half ago, and he has been an invaluable resource for me. There's so much that you just can't get from a book, you know, that Joe knows about the city and things that have happened in the past, and he's been there for 30 plus years, knows everybody, and knows the history of the city and the things that it's done. And if I have a question about anything that's going on, I go to Joe first. He's an invaluable resource.
And why is a city clerk important to a city attorney?
Well, he keeps the books and makes sure that the city's money is being used in the right way and that we're doing things properly. He's over all of everybody's utility accounts, the taxes being collected, you name it. He keeps the minutes of the meetings. It goes to all the meetings. It's just invaluable resource.
Yeah, and keeps us out of court most of the time.
That's right. Tries to.
And you like that part, don't you?
That's right. That's right. It saves me a lot of time.
That's right. And, I've had so many people up here talking. I don't know how many people throughout the evening, but so many good stories and comments and so much love for Joe, what he's done for this community over the last 30 years. And I know just in the short time you've been there, you just said it. What a dear friend he's come of yours.
He has been a dear friend. He's been like a dad to me, you know, just somebody I could go to with anything, even personal stuff, you know, and just somebody fun to joke around with. He made going to work a real joy, and he's just one of those people that's very unique, and he's always finding the humor in everything, and that's something that's really good in the workplace to keep morale good and going, and I'm sad to see him go. I mean, I understand it's time, but I hope the citizens realize exactly what all he's done for the city over these past 30 plus years. And
that's a great point, Josh. If you see Joe around the community, thank him, because he served us for 30 years. If you're a citizen of not only the city of Dublin, but of Lawrence County, Joe has done a lot for this, not just as city clerk. I've mentioned this a few times, but he has served with St. Patrick's and Keep Dublin Lawrence Beautiful and different clubs and stepping in here and there. We're both ambassadors with the Chamber of Commerce. Yeah, and I mentioned a while ago, don't leave your plate unattended, because I had a chicken leg go missing, and I feel like it was like that nut and honey commercial, you know.
Well,
he was still chewing on that chicken wing.
If there's an event, you know, a lot of it I know was Joe feels driven to public service, I think, but a lot of it also probably at least a small portion of it has to do with the fact there might be a plate of food available.
Yeah.
Some of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you said something a minute ago, Josh, that just really says a lot about Joe, and that is you compared him to a dad, you know, someone that you can talk to about personal things, family things. You have a young family.
I do. My little boy Joe, his name's Joe, so
Right.
there's a little connection there. And he's 6 years old, and he's come to City Hall several times. And every time he comes, Joe has something to give to him. He collects these little squeeze things, you know. And we've got, in fact, as he's been cleaning out his office, he's been handing me just what I would call junk, but it's treasure to my little boy,
right.
you know.
That's right.
And so they've just got a neat little relationship, so it's a good thing.
I have with me now Jerry Davis. He has been a city council member for 8 years, Mayor Pro Tem now.
I'm Mayor Pro Tem and have been for the past 2 years.
Okay, and you have been one. I've known you longer than you've been a city councilman, but you have a true passion for, I know, the city of Dublin and Lawrence County, because
Yes.
it all goes together for our success. But we're here recognizing Joe Kinard tonight for 30 years of service to the city of Dublin. First of all, wow. I mean,
Yeah, wow is the word. Joe has been here a long time. He was here long before I came back to Dublin. I was born and raised in Dublin, and it was always my prayers, hopes, and dreams to come back, to give back to the community. And when I had the opportunity to run for city council and I was successful, Joe Kinard, I met him at that time, and he's been the ultimate professional. And Joe and I have always gotten along very well, and I commend Joe for doing a great job for the city of Dublin.
Absolutely.
And he has the awards each year to confirm that.
Amen, brother. And we've mentioned that a few times throughout this show, but you know, some cities cannot stay in the black. They've always struggled. They go into reserves. Some don't have reserves, but he has kept the city of Dublin in good financial shape. Not that there's not tough times sometimes. You're gonna have tough times here and there. But when you got a man like Joe Kinard, you can pull it together and get through it during those tough times.
Yes, it was Joe's expertise and his knowledge as far as guiding us through those treacherous waters when things and the economy wasn't good, and he made good investments for us, and we just appreciate him so much for that.
And the city council, and I know we've talked about budget times. That's usually a difficult time trying to get it all together, but there's so many departments within the city. The average person does not realize what goes in, first of all, to running a city.
Yes, a lot of times people don't know what it takes to run a city, but and the leaders, the department heads in the various departments, they might have a wish list as far as the amount of funds that they want, but Joe is one that he would make sure he advised us on what the needs are, and we would allow that amount of funding for that department.
Absolutely. And lastly, what would you say to Joe right now as he departs after 30 years?
Well, I had a busy schedule today, but I didn't want this day to pass without coming in to let Joe know exactly how much we appreciate him. Joe, as I said, has been an ultimate professional for us. He's kept the city in good standing, and I didn't want to leave without congratulating him on a job well done. And as we said, he has the awards to prove it, and I wish him the best, very best in his retirement going forward.
Absolutely. Jerry Davis, Mayor Pro Tem, a dear friend of mine personally, the TV station, the city of Dublin, this entire community, and we can both say we're dear friends of Joe Kinard.
We can definitely say that. And we, again, we appreciate Joe so much and wish him the very best.
Absolutely. Thank you, my friend.
You've been saying you want it, and now's the time to get it. Pool and patio furniture in style with fabrics you want, comfort and durability you deserve. You'll even save on accessories and add your own personal style. Peak season and telescope casual furniture, a new category of furniture made of superior quality marine grade polymer, will not crack nor separate in any outdoor environment. and proudly made in America. Come see the full line of pool and patio furniture at Mid-State Pools and Spas today and bring home a colorful poolside with the original Pauley's Island Adirondack chairs. Visit our showroom today and see the complete line of lounge chairs for your pool and see the selection of Louisiana grills. The wood pellet grill that bakes, roasts, braise, smokes, grills, sears, char grills, and barbecues. Anytime's a great time for a Louisiana grill. And now's a great time to save at Mid-State Pools and Spas, located on Veterans Boulevard in Dublin. Mid-State Pools and Spas. We know pools.
I have with me now Patsy Baker. She is the head of the Keep Dublin Lawrence Beautiful Association, and we'll start out there.
All right.
Joe has been an advocate, a friend. You know, I always thought the city of Dublin was just beautiful until we did a show one day and we rode with the Department of Sanitation. Mr. Coney let us ride with them. Going to y'all's meetings every year and watching the different recognitions, the different people that help. We don't just wake up every morning, this city's beautiful, do we?
No, we don't.
It takes a lot of hard work.
It takes a lot of cooperation between a lot of caring people, and Joe is one of them. Joe's been on the board for at least 20 years, 20 plus years. He's been chairman 3 times. He's been treasurer until he decided he was going to retire. Then we had to get another treasurer. But he loves it. He's a recycler. I don't know if people that don't know him may not know. He's a really rabid recycler. And he has a whole program at City Hall to collect all the paper at City Hall and then keep it put in a trailer, and then we take it to West Rock, and Clean Community gets money from it. But you will, he'll go through the trash cans and take paper out and separate it, and single stream and make sure everything's in the right bin. So he really genuinely loves the environmental things.
Yeah, absolutely. And we've learned so much today during the show about Joe, and just to hear the story you just told, Patsy, it just shows, you first of all think of a city clerk of a city like the size of Dublin digging through the trash, but he's doing it for a reason. We need to recycle.
We need to recycle.
And that's how important it is to Joe, isn't it?
It is. It's because of the environment too, but Joe's also all about money.
Yeah.
So every time we fill that trailer up, it's money for Keep Dublin Lawrence Beautiful when he sells it. So every piece of paper is money. And but he is all about the environment. But he is such a financial whiz too. You wouldn't know it. He's so down to earth, but he has numerous awards over 20 years from the GMA, the Municipal Associations. He's well respected everywhere he goes.
Yeah, people know he's good with the taxpayers' money.
He's tight with the taxpayers' money.
Right. And we should feel proud. If you live in the city of Dublin, you ought to be proud of Joe Kinard and his 30 years of service. But he's also a friend of yours, Patsy.
He's a close friend. He and Tracy have been our friends since I think Kenny was on city council the year Joe was hired for city clerk. So I've been knowing he and Tracy, and I'm just looking at their daughter. She's a spitting image of Tracy. So another generation. But yeah, personally, he's a good friend and a good person. They both are. His whole family. There's a good family. Yeah.
Now, he's been here 30 years. And I asked Tracy how old their daughter was. She's 30 years old. So I'm doing the quick math right here. I'm thinking either she was born here, which, he shared that with us, and he's going to share with us on camera in a little while. I don't want to give it all away, but they came here and they've loved this community, this community has loved them. What would you say to Joe right now, what he's meant to you, Patsy?
Well, Joe has been kind of like cement to me and the group, because he keeps me connected to what's going on underground in the city, what I need to know, and also on what's going on the environmental, financial, what people are saying. And he's really honest. He gives me he's a good backdrop, somebody to bounce things off of. So he's good at that, and he never tells a secret. Right. He helps us along and gives us advice and keeps us on track. And he's not retiring from Keep Dublin Lawrence Beautiful.
That's right.
We told him, he'll be there.
You made that clear.
We made that real clear. That's not in the package. Yeah.
I have with me now Bucky Dixon with Morris Bank, just right across the street. We're here at the Carnegie Library, continuing to recognize Joe Kinard on his 30 years with the city of Dublin. Bucky, and you're very involved with the chamber and development authority and things around the bank. But Joe, first of all, has been a great steward of the taxpayers' money.
He has. Joe's done a wonderful job. Congratulations to him on his retirement. What a great day it is for him. Joe and I have served for a couple of years now on the ambassadors team with the Chamber of Commerce, and Joe and I go to church together at Pine Forest. A lot of you might not know that, but known Joe a good while, and you know, I'm glad to see he's feeling better with his health from the issue we had last year. So hopefully he's going to be able to continue and enjoy that retirement time with Miss Tracy and the rest of the family.
Absolutely. Patsy Baker just made it clear to me on the air that he's not going anywhere with the Keep Dublin Orange Beautiful, you know. He's been a part of that for the last 20 years, and he's quite the environmentalist. He understands why our environment's so important to us, and that's something we can all learn from.
Well, not only that, but Joe loves his town.
Yes.
He has always loved his town, and that's the reason he's done the service he's done for the years he's done it, and what a wonderful job he's done, and we certainly appreciate his efforts through the years. Somebody's got some tall shoes to fill.
Oh, I've heard that a bunch of times today, let me tell you. Y'all have heard that, haven't you? Those of you who've been with us since the broadcast started, but it has been a tall order. But Bucky, I know on behalf of the bank, I know you want to wish him the best also.
Well, on behalf of the bank, on behalf of the church, on behalf of the community, thank you, Joe, for the years of service you've given us, and Godspeed, and enjoy your retirement.
I have with me now City Councilman Benny Jones. And Benny, you've been on the council just a short amount of time, but you've known Joe. He's been our city clerk for 30 years. You've known Joe, and just the short amount of time you've been on city council, what has Joe meant to the council?
You're talking about someone who's kept the finances in order, someone who keep council in order when it comes down to spending, and let us know what we got, what we can do, what we can't do. Keep us in line with the budget and with the budget. And customer service, he's done a good job with people who've had problems with doing stuff, paying bills, or maybe they can go in and talk to him and he'll help them out. So he's been very helpful in every aspect of that way.
And I love to hear that, because we as citizens, we as people, we have tough times sometimes.
Correct.
And we just have to make sure that we've got somebody in there to help. But tell me about, we got a photo bomb back there. We're gonna cut. We're gonna leave that in right there. I'm gonna lead the mayor in right there. But tell me about what would you say to Joe right now? I know he's become a friend, but what would you say to Joe now during his retirement?
I'd like to thank him for the 30 years that he's given the city of Dublin, hard work, and for the way he's looked out for our finances. And wish him the best in retirement. Hope he enjoy it. Sit back, relax. Don't work too hard. Just enjoy your retirement until your dying days. I mean, just enjoy it.
When my daughter got engaged, she wanted an outdoor wedding. She walked up and she said, "This is it." It was just a beautiful setting for the photography. The caterer could go in and out this door without any problem. The daughter and all 11 bridesmaids were in here. There was plenty of room for them to hang out. Everybody loved the atmosphere of the entire venue.
If you want to book this venue, you don't wait. We're booking up fast, and you don't want to miss out on that special day that you have set to have your special event.
And finally, after all these people we've talked to today, we started with the mayor, Phil Best, and we're going to end with the master of ceremonies, a dear friend of mine, and I'm glad to call Joe Kinard a dear friend. And I have with him his wife, Tracy, and his daughter, Lauren. And I know it's a great evening for y'all, and I've heard so many, and we're going to share this with you. We'll make sure you get copies of what all has been said today. Maybe Joe don't need to hear some of it, so we may need to edit that part. But how does it feel, before I talk to Joe, but how does it feel, Tracy, to see all these people here to honor Joe?
Well, it makes me feel real good that they're coming here to honor Joe. We've been here 30 years now, and I tell this story because it means so much to me and to this, for this community. But 30 years ago, Joe said, "I'm going to Dublin, and I've gotten this job, so we're going to move there." And I dug my feet in. I didn't want to do that because I was leaving my family, my friends, and he said, "But Tracy, we'll go for 2 years." And I said, "Okay." Well, we've been here 30 years. We've raised 2 children here, and this is home. This community has embraced us, and it's just been a great place to raise children and to live. And then Joe says, now that I'm retiring, where do you want to go? And I said, I don't want to go anywhere.
Wow.
I want to stay here. Dublin is home. Yeah. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to stay here in Dublin.
What a statement that is. To going from don't want to come to don't want to leave, huh? So how old is Lauren, your daughter here?
I just turned 30 in January.
Okay, so she just turned 30. So was she born then, or was you carrying her then? Tell me.
She was born then. She wasn't even a year old when we came here.
Okay.
So
when y'all moved here, how was that to you?
I don't even remember it.
I'm kidding. But so you actually grew up here, Lauren. How was it growing up in Dublin for you?
I enjoyed growing up here. Have a lot of good friends, and I liked the small town, and I want to move back to a small town somewhere.
Yeah, well, good. And I know you're proud of your dad.
I am proud.
Yeah, I know you're proud of your dad, and I know Tracy is too. And Joe, I've talked to so many people this evening, and you know this. People love being around you. Josh Powell just told me a minute ago, he said, I'm going to miss Joe coming into City Hall because he brings that attitude in with him and makes everybody happy, and he's always joyful, and he said, I'm going to miss that part of it, and that's what a lot of people say about you. So tell me what you're going to miss most about showing up at City Hall every day.
Working.
Working?
I guess. Just the friends and I guess the responsibility. I like what I was doing.
Yeah. Well, and you know, the other thing I hear is the job you did to do what you did, the good times and the bad times, to be recognized with the distinguished awards, and you know, people call me a tightwad. I'm gonna call you frugal, but you may say another word, but you have been so frugal with the citizens' money, the taxpayers' money, and that's been important to you, hasn't it?
Oh yes, that's what I do.
Yep.
I was telling somebody earlier that if they don't have money, they can't pay me.
That's right. So you had to make sure they.
So, you know, I want them to make sure they always got enough money, at least pay me.
That's right.
You know, the rest of them. But no, I've always been responsible with money. My grandmother taught me that.
Yeah. And that's so important to the taxpayers, to economic development. Tracy, Joe picks on me because I do a lot of work for City Hall, and he'll ask me, he said, James, are you on the payroll down here or what? And I said, well, I've already clocked in, but for some reason, I never get a check, so I can't slide it through you, so you are pretty good with the taxpayers' money. You ain't sent me a check yet.
No.
Now, what's going on with that? I'm expecting my check.
You got to do something first.
You pegged that one, didn't you, right there? So, but not only working with the city of Dublin, Joe, but you are an ambassador for the Chamber of Commerce, helping with St. Patrick's, keep Dublin Lawrence beautiful, helping in so many areas. Not only working, but you love this community, don't you?
Oh yes, yes. Like Tracy was saying, we've been here for 30 years. Since I'm originally from Macon, but I wouldn't go back to Macon, and I'd rather stay here. Dublin's kind of like a small Macon in a lot of ways, but it's a lot better for family life and raising 2 children.
Yeah.
And I just have a lot of friends here.
Yeah. Now, I got a call today, Tracy, from a friend of mine in Macon. He wants Joe to come back. Now, I know there's one person wants him back. He owns New Way Wieners. And he had called me today, and he heard that Joe was retiring, and he said, well, what's he going to do, James? I said, well, I think he's going to hang around Dublin. But he wants you to come back to Macon. He says you could be a really good customer if you lived in Macon and stayed there all the time. Or he said he'd even give you a job.
Well, that'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Since you need a job.
Yeah. I don't think Tracy would let me eat many of them.
Eat that.
Yeah, and you have really, I've been with him at some eatings and meetings, and he'd say, I can't eat that, James. I can only eat this because my wife, if she found out I was eating so-and-so, whatever it was, so you have clamped down on him. I got to say that, and he's minded.
He has.
So he's a good husband, isn't he?
He sure is.
You followed him to Dublin. We're going to stay in Dublin. And I know all of you are happy with this trip down here, and you're going to stay in Dublin. But we stand in front of this cake right here, Tracy, and it's basically saying congratulations on your retirement, Joe. And spending 30 years, you don't even really hear that much anymore. And I know you're a school teacher. You've served many years teaching school, but you don't hear many people staying somewhere 30 years anymore.
No, you don't, especially in this position that he's in, working with the different mayors and the different council members, and that says a lot for Joe, being able to work through that many different administrations.
Yeah,
so.
that's a lot of pressure.
It is.
I mean, literally, that's a lot of pressure. And a lot of people, a lot of men, a lot of women could not withstand that pressure because it really is. So I know you're proud of him, Joe. On behalf of the community, the city of Dublin, we're proud of you. And I mean that sincerely because there's not many people could withstand the pressure dealing with those different mayors and city managers and all 30 budgets. Just 30 budgets is enough just to break a man right there. So, and dealing with all these departments wanting all this stuff and you having to say, no, we can't do that this year. We have to wait the next year. And all those budgets. And I know you said no a lot of times, didn't you?
Oh, yes. Well, no, I'm trying to make sure the money's there so they can get what they need.
Well, Joe, we love you, and I consider you a dear friend, and I always love our visits. You always make me laugh, and we're always cutting the fool about something. So I'm going to miss you being at City Hall, I can tell you. I'm stuck with Michael Clay. I mean, my goodness, what am I going to do? Stuck with him. I need help.
You do?
Yeah. Every now and then, will you help me?
I'll try.
We'll go eat at Firehouse Subs or something. How about that?
That sounds pretty good.
Okay. Well, that's a date right there. Well, thank you very much. We appreciate you joining us today. I'm glad to have the Kinard family here with us. And you've heard all these great comments today. And we just want to thank you for joining us today. And once again, we want to thank Joe Kinard for 30 years of service, not only to the city of Dublin, but to our great community here in Dublin and Lawrence County. Thank you for joining us.